What's up, Crackle Addicts? I'm Lupinefiasco, and even though my recent gameplay reviews have been red-hot flavored, I want my fellow broodmates to know that while Syndra lives in my deck box, Slippy lives in my heart. Our goofy goober put up massive results this national season, getting an impressive 8 wins and tying with Syndra for most wins overall. That isn't what I, or many others, expected, and frankly I'm regretting my choice to lock in Syndra for Singapore just a bit. It's too late for me to start grinding reps now, but I can analyze recent Slippy deck lists to start theory crafting for calling Kansas City, and I hope you'll join me. If you like this sort of content and want to see more, please consider subscribing to my channel. It's the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every new upload from daily Fab gameplay. You can find links to the comparisons I'll use today in the video description below. You'll also find a link to my Patreon page where subscribers get access to matchup guides for all my tournament decks, including Slippy, and weekly bonus content including draft reviews and deck techs. Want to tighten and optimize your gameplay in real life? Use my affiliate link in the video description to buy your very own Codex journal, and be sure to use code LUPINE10, that's LUPINE10, at checkout to receive 10% off your order. Finally, daily Fab gameplay is brought to you in part by Hemel from The Bazaar. It's never been more affordable to play in the flesh and blood. Players have been buying the cards they need from Hemel for years. I started buying from him in 2023 and have never found a better deal. The Bazaar's prices are the lowest for singles, full sets, and class sets, including new releases. High C singles and more are available now and ship both domestically and internationally. Message Hemel on Blue Sky, Discord, email, or Twitter to see what he can do for you. Grab your claves and take up that mantle, because it's time to talk Assassin. Top 8ing any ranked event is a huge accomplishment, and I give props to Robert Ramsey, David Cordero, Liang Siho, and Husan Bang Chang. But with so many Slippy decks to review, I'm limiting our comparison to only the 8 Nationals winners, and even then, I can't add 8 decks to a single Fabrary comparison. For lack of a better data point, I've separated the decks according to whether the list includes Balance of Justice and have the decks without balance on screen. That isn't commentary on whether you should play BOJ, but it makes the comparisons cleaner. You can find links to both comparisons in the video description below. I'm going to focus on aggregates and heuristics. What is every deck doing, and what can we extrapolate from that? Starting with equipment, we see that every Slippy is playing the following: Black Tech Whisperers, Crown of Providence, Flick Knives, Fiandal Spring Tunic, and Widow Veil Respirator. Every Slippy has at least 2 pieces of Widow equipment for a total of Arcane Barrier 2, with most playing Widow Reb Crawler as the second piece. The number of daggers brought by each Slippy corresponds to the number of concealed blades in the deck. 0 copies of CB correspond to 2 copies of Hunter's Clave, 2 copies of CB correspond to 3 copies of Clave, and 3 copies of CB usually correspond to 3 Claves and a 4th dagger. Notable to me is that no Slippy brought Snapdragon Scalers. We can extrapolate a few things from this. First, there is very much a standard equipment loadout of Cop, Tunic, Flick, and Black Tech. If you want to play Slippy but don't own those cards, you should contact Hemel from the Bazaar. The omission of Snapdragons in favor of mainboard Black Tech tells us that, contrary to when Florian was the boogeyman of CC, every Slippy anticipated a low to no block meta. In a room of Syndra and Gravy Bones, Black Tech needing to hit isn't an issue. Second, AB2 is the magic number for the most anticipated wizard of the season, Verdance. A single blue can prevent 3 points of arcane damage from Pulsing Aether, Burn Bear, or a Verdance ping followed by Waning Moon, and a Tunic activation on top of it gets you full equipment value. Third, given the popularity of low block heroes whose value scales exponentially with hand size, Syndra and Gravy Bones, Mark of the Black Widow is much better than it was in the past. Flick knives can easily turn it on with a clave, but you'll need a way to mark for future widow turns as well as take up the mantle. Rather than rely on 2-block retrieve cards like Pick Up the Point and Up Sticks and Run, Concealed Blade can take advantage of these heroes' inability or unwillingness to block to pull a new dagger out of your inventory at no cost while also providing reaction synergy. Moving on to the reds, these lists look more stock standard and include playsets of Art of Desire Body, Command and Conquer, Justinic, Kiss of Death, Leave No Witnesses, Razor's Edge, Sink Below, and Tarantula Toxin. The number of copies of other Slippy staples differ, but every deck had at least 2 copies of Infect, Mark of the Black Widow, or Weaver Spinneret, Pain in the Backside, and Shelter from the Storm. Besides Widow, none of this is unusual to anyone who played Slippy in the Hunted meta. More notable is what we aren't seeing: Infiltrate and Savor Bloodshed. The cause is Gravy Bones. Infiltrating a card from Gravy's deck will usually give you a bad option like Blue Tipple or Portside Exchange. Savor gives Gravy a priority window in which to activate Chum, and you're probably losing value, devoting resources and damage to kill it. While more decks are playing Infiltrate than aren't, the card is still great against Syndra after all, Slippy seems to have moved off Savor for now. The shared yellows should be even less surprising than the reds, being 3 copies each of Codex of Frailty and Take Up the Mantle. Codex of Bloodrot and Shred fill out the yellows that some Slippies chose to play, with Codex being the more popular of the 2. It deals damage, replaces itself, and happens to be particularly potent against Prism. 7-power Poppers, on the other hand, are absent from all 8 of these decks. Shred showed up in half of these decks, usually as a 2-of. Blues shared among all 8 decks include 3 copies each of Bonds of Agony and Persuasive Prognosis. Slippy staple Double Trouble also appeared as a 3-of in 7 out of 8 decks. More interesting than the shared blue cards, which aren't interesting at all, is the shared blue count. Slippy isn't exactly a redline hero, but is less reliant on blues than their counterparts in the Assassin pool. Because of their hero power, Slippy gets more value out of playing reds, with yellows and blues only getting more value out of those reds, acting as reds themselves, and occasionally paying for the Calicera Codex CNC line. Here, though, we see every Slippy playing a minimum of 11 blues and a maximum of 12. The reasons for Slippy to go up on blues are paying for AB2 against Verdance, more reliably paying for CNC, and Concealed Blade enabling extra flick activations against Syndra and Gravy. Syndra, Gravy, and Verdance are identified as top dogs in the format, and more blues help against all of them. We're pitching or playing for value. Here are my takeaways when considering how to build Slippy for Pro Tour Singapore. Include attacks that punish Syndra and Gravy. Savor and Upsticks can be replaced with Widow, Concealed Blade, and extra daggers. More blues better support AB2 and give you an edge against Verdance. And you can use BOJ and Codex of Bloodrot as Prism Tech. These heuristics and strategies may be less effective for calling Kansas City. Armory deck Ira could keep Ninja aggro relevant, but Mastery Pack Guardian is likely to change that. If Guardian forces Ninja out of the top tier, then cards and effects that prey on low block value become weaker. Retrieve effect may become relevant as we prepare for longer games, and the value from a good Savor may outweigh the short-term benefits of more attack actions. We'll need to wait for MPG's release on August 8th to truly know. Until then, good luck out there, Spider Brood. I'll be flying to Singapore on Monday, but don't fret. I've recorded enough videos to keep you all satisfied until I return on the 26th. Pictures, videos, Syndra deck tech, and tournament reports are all inbound, and for any patrons in Singapore wanting their physical channel tokens, find me at the convention center and I will hook you up. Until the next time I see you, take care.